When people ask me why am I doing technology investment banking and what is the higher purpose that we serve, I tend to think in terms of scientific terms because I'm a scientist. And I think of the economists that are very pioneering in this area. So from a scientific perspective, I see our role as catalyzing the energy of reaction between sort of a small entity and a very large entity, and streamlining the process of integrating the two in terms of a merger and acquisition transaction. The second higher order calling, if you like, is that of the contribution we make to economic growth and employment, and the impact that what we have on the world delivers in terms of getting the invention that the entrepreneur has made and the investors behind that into much larger, broader markets. And the way they do that is they do that through the acquirer. And so there's sound economics behind this. It really stems from the early work of a gentleman called Joseph Schumpeter, who was the Austrian finance minister, who became a very celebrated economist, and had they been giving Nobel Prizes for economics back then, he would have got one for sure, because he's cited by many Nobel Prize winners. And then there was another couple of economists in the mid-30s that sort of took up Schumpeter's work on innovation and drove it through the GDP equation in the form of the investment accelerator. So the idea is that the GDP equation, which is Y, which is GDP or gross domestic product, equals C, consumption, plus I, investment, plus G, government spending, plus the difference between exports and imports, which is X minus M. That this concept of the accelerator, little t, applied to the capital I in the equation, and that drove GDP growth. Well, I would argue that when new innovations come about, that they drive change of behavior in every part of the GDP equation. They change consumer behavior and consumer spending. When you get a new tablet, a new mobile phone comes out, you want it, so you spend the money to have it. People invest in the infrastructure required to make that happen. Governments spend on it, and then it gets exported and have to subtract imports, and that generally leads to growth in the GDP. And that is our higher calling, essentially, to take innovation from the hands of entrepreneurs and investors, get those innovations into much larger markets through the large acquirers that have access to those markets.